Good morning. Good morning. It's the Mullers coming at you again. This week, as you know, we're talking about the three power traits in our ultimate achievement system. Now, to refresh your memory, our ultimate achievement system is best explained and easiest explained using our 13579 formula. We start with one vision, we apply the three power traits to 5 habits of success. We run 7 days at a time, and then we reset and revisit our priorities every 90 days. And this week, we're talking about the three power traits. Yesterday, we talked about the first power trait, which is be coachable. And now we're going to talk a little bit about the second power trait. What's the second power trait, Alyssa?
Be consistent.
Boom, that's right. Being consistent is so powerful, and here's why. Our life is made up by the compound effect of countless little decisions that we make every day. And every decision that we make is entirely based on our priorities. In that moment of decision, every decision we make, and usually in response to or anticipation of our environment. So that being said, most of our actions are done through habit. And so you can create the life of your dreams, anything you want, by creating the proper habits in your life. And habits are created through consistency. You only have to force yourself to do something until it becomes a habit. Because when it becomes a habit, it automates that activity. So if you identify what the most the most productive activities are in your life, and then use consistency to automate them, you'll never work in it. It works like magic. All the magic happens in because you'll never work another day in your life, and you'll always be productive.
Yeah. The cool thing about being consistent is we've all been consistent our entire life. So it's not something that you have to relearn or learn. The point of it all is ask yourself, what are you consistent at? So if your goal maybe is to release weight, are you consistent at watching what your nutrition is? Are you consistent at getting up and moving your body? Or are you consistent at the opposite, which are getting the results of the opposite of what you want? So that's kind of the cool thing about this habit or this trait, if you will. So you have to analyze this power trait in a way is this serving your needs? Is this serving the end in mind? Is this serving a path to achieve your goals? And so being consistent, again, is one of the easiest power traits. You just have to figure out, is it consistent in the way of achieving all of your goals or making you happy?
Yeah, so are you being consistent? Think about it. First thing you want to do, here's just a couple of hints or tips that we use to make sure that this power trait is present in our life. And the first one is just examine your day. Grab a pen and pencil. Like right now, grab a pen and pencil and take notes on these bullet points that we're going to give you. The first one is examine your day. Take a look at what the activities are that you're doing throughout the day and how those activities, how they produce in your life. And you'll notice if you stop and just kind of examine your day or examine your week or examine the last 90 days, just take a minute or so to just examine your day and assess what are the activities that you did and how did they affect your life, or how was your life affected and what are the actions that took place that you did that affected those things. If you can kind of take a look back and review, then we're talking about gratitude again. You can feel the gratitude, but you can assess how you're doing.
Yeah. So for David and I in our system, we do a 7-day look back. But these types of consistent, I guess the big like rocks that matter most of making the pivots for your goals to achieve actually happen probably, I would say, about 3 weeks worth of looking back. So 21 days. You can really analyze whether a habit has become an actual habit of the consistency that you've done over 21 days in 21 days time. So it's been scientifically proven 21 days. There's lots of programs out there that also show 21 days are in fact the timeline that you need to make those consistent shifts, if you will. So another great thing is that, in 90 days, which David has a little bit of time frame philosophy on that as well, but each 90 days are when we make the larger pivots. In your 7 days, you make the tiny adjustments, but literally within your first month's check-in of overviewing these weekly goal progression sessions, GPSs that we do, you will see if being consistent at those particular things are actually helping you, or you may need to make some adjustments of the consistency. But either way, being consistent is still, it's the action, it's the actual meat, what's the saying where your wheel hits the road, what is that called? That saying I'm trying to think of.
Rubber hits the road?
Yes, rubber meets the road. It's where the rubber meets the road in the action of what it is that you're being consistent at.
Yeah, that's amazing. So where are your habits leading you? Take a look back and just take a look at what your life is like and how your actions, the actions that you consciously do, but also the actions that are habits, the actions that you subconsciously do, how is that shaping your life? And then the other thing is be patient. Enjoy the adventure. Understand that if you create a plan and you work that plan, you don't have to stress out about it's not happening fast enough, because you're reassessing each week. And just then you get to enjoy the adventure. Because let's be honest, life is an adventure. I always approach life as an adventure. I love stories of, buried treasure and swashbuckling pirates and going to Narnia. And if you know me at all, I love, adventures. And so I approach life in that same way, like I'm heading out on one of these grand adventures. And if you do that and you create your plan, you prepare for the worst, you act in the present and just enjoy it. Just have fun, smell the flowers along the way, and just look around you, because we live in such an awesome place, and we live in the best of times and we live in the worst of times. It's all a matter of perspective. You get to decide if you enjoy this adventure or if you don't. So enjoy the adventure.
Yeah, for sure. And like what David said is there are marks that you make your pivots, you make your adjustments. But the big overall view you should have about time is your time cannot be dictated by anyone else. Your time is your true time. So, one of the things that we like to teach is, building a fortune, the perfect body, or a great relationship all takes time and consistency. But what takes my journey and what takes David's journey is completely different times. And you can't compare yourself to others, and you shouldn't, because where you find your joy in, you're evolving as a human being is your unique DNA, your unique story. And we all have our gifts and stories to share into the world. And so be patient with your own time. Don't give up, obviously, but be consistent. And 100% do not, compare yourself to how fast somebody else went, because that's their story. That's not your story. Yeah.
I like to break things down to the most pragmatic possible way. And let's be honest, nothing happens. You don't do anything unless it's through habit or through discipline. Everything you do is because of one of these or the other. And let's be honest, discipline, at least for me, is in pretty short supply. I don't know about you, but and I know that Alyssa, for instance, has a lot more discipline than I do. But whatever point is, there's a lot more habit that's taken place in affecting your day-to-day actions than there is discipline. So this is my idea to plan. This is the way to do it, is use the little discipline that you do have to create the habits. So focus on building a habit, because discipline is hard. I mean, let's be honest, discipline is a lot harder than habit. If you can use the discipline to create the habit, then that activity is automated. You don't have to worry about it anymore. So use the discipline like an asset and use it effectively. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then, remember, the only real discipline required is the discipline to actually act right now. Take action. Oftentimes our mentors have mentored us in that regards. And it's like an aha moment. Yeah, you're right. I just need to take action. That's really where the discipline begins. And, I shared earlier on the time frame, the thing about David and I that is 100% different. And I think at first it did kind of hurt David's feelings, is the fact that I am very disciplined, but it didn't happen overnight. It's from decades of being a sport that you'll get eaten alive. If you're not disciplined, it's going to catch up to you. And if you don't build those habits of discipline, you will lose every time you go to compete. And as a coach, you will lose every time your athletes go to compete if there's no discipline. And so for me, this is just decades and decades of changing my mindset of everything that I do surrounded by discipline. So anyway, I mean, I think you gotta be realistic about where you came from. And that's where I came from. I mean, that muscle is so strong and so big. Everything I say that I am going to do is done already, because I know I won't stop because of the discipline that's innate in my being.
Whew. I'm married up, obviously. Okay, so that's great. I hope that helps when when you're thinking about the traits that you have, the traits that are manifesting themselves in your life, that are creating the habits. Think about the traits that you have, and that's the second power trait. Now, the third power trait is be tenacious. It's never quit. The third power trait is never quit, and it's so powerful because this is what makes you omnipotent. I mean, literally, this works on any lifestyle that you want to create. You want to create the lifestyle of your dreams? First, figure out what that is. And then by applying this system and pivoting and just never quit, this is what is going to make you live it, stepping into your passion and living even more, healthy, wealthy, and wise, and literally living in your passion every day. I mean, let's be honest. How many people get to live in their passion every single day? You could do that. You could live in your passion. We'll talk about that on a topic on my pragmatic approach on how to systematically put that together. But I mean, this is it. Just be coachable, be consistent, and never quit. Tenacious.
Yeah, so the never quit part for me is definitely tenacity. And I spoke about this on our other little short video. But tenacity is one of, I think, the characters that pretty much have been with me since I can remember. So it's not something that somebody taught me. I literally have been tenacious since I can remember. Now, the cool thing about combining with the commitment of never quitting is when you're tenacious, you realize that, yeah, that inside fuel fires you up and you're going to go after it like a dog with a bone. But when you also have it like surrounded by there is no quitting. Quitting is not an option. I know lots of people say it, but do you act it? And so what I always like to share with our tribe members is give permission to yourself to pivot. Like I have this little reminder right here. When needed, pivot, because then you're pivoting. you're not failing, you're not quitting, you're actually pivoting. So I love to give this example. I wanted to be an Olympian. I was inspired by Mary Lou Retton at a very young age, but obviously you didn't see my body on the front of the Wheaties box, right? I was not an Olympian. I don't look at that as I quit. I look at that as I took all that I learned on my very short journey of being an athlete in the big perspective of my life. And I used that to pivot into my coaching aspect of my life. And had I not been an athlete and gained all of the characteristics that I did from being a gymnast and pivoted into coaching, I would have probably been very lost, So I learned at a very young age not to quit. I didn't understand what pivoting meant, but I did know that by not achieving the goal of being an Olympian, I wasn't a failure. I didn't feel like I quit. So that I did learn early on. I didn't call it pivoting. I don't even know what I called it. But now it's a cool thing because Friends had a whole episode on it and it's funny.
Pivot.
Pivot.
Okay. So those are the 3 power traits. I hope that you guys took some good notes yesterday and today. I hope that you're commenting. I hope that you are sharing this with your friends. But most of all, I hope that this has made an impact in your life. And if you'd like to talk about it, if this has piqued any interest or questions, or just want to talk about anything that we talked about this week, Thursday night, I host a virtual happy hour at p2k.tv, and you will be able to pop right in, and we talk live. We go into a Zoom room and we just talk live about anything that's on your mind. Ask me anything. So if you want to do that, watch for the link in the chat, and I'm super excited to meet you and talk to you live, face to face. With that, Muller's out.